Today, what we are going to see is what I call a paradise of handcrafted dreams. Hi, good morning. This is Shreya once more, and today we are on yet another podcast of this beautiful home we are in. So, we often talk about having a dream home. Today, what we are going to see is what I call a paradise of handcrafted dreams. And for that, I would want to introduce my very dear friend Tushar, whose house we are right now seated in. And let me tell you, this house talks story in every nook and corner. Tushar, don't you agree?
Yes, I would. And I first of all wish all of you a very happy new year. And thank you, Shreya, for I think this is long due. We thought of, while building this, we thought of many things that we will be talking about this on podcast. And first of all, when you call it as a dream house, so let me tell you a background. So actually, this is a dream house for me because I think I've lived all my childhood in maybe 100 square feet area, and when we have this big house, and that too, which is every corner of this house is something which is really close to you. It is nothing like we have picked up and kept it. It is something we found it, we brainstormed, when we curated, we went to the places, got things, and when everyone comes to this place, they are really loving it. I mean, they are just wanting to spend more and more time here. So that is, I think, our success.
I am actually so happy to hear that, Tushar. I know it's been a very emotional journey for all of us because we all resonate to such stories.
Right.
And I think the beauty of this project was that Tushar and Amruta have been traveling together. They have, so many memories. And I remember from the smallest detail of how the table needs to be,
Right.
to, actually using our carpets the way we did.
Right.
To the details of the sofa. I remember, going back home and discussing that this is one project that I'm working on that is so dear. So I remember when I was handing over this site and when I went back home and I was telling my parents that I feel so grateful that I could be part of this journey and help you build this dream. Thank you for trusting me. As a designer, it's so beautiful to have two creative minds genuinely collaborate to bring out the best in each other. And I think that is what this is about. We've not had the quintessential details. We've from our fabrics to the materials that we've used, the way we've used. It's been such a fulfilling journey, and thank you for letting me do this for you.
Yeah. And if I want to tell you more about it, it is the way she mentioned about creative people. So when we have multiple heads or multiple people who are strong-headed in terms of their choices, their selections, their no negotiation skills for choosing the things at the optimum level. Normally what happens, you tend to disagree with a lot of things, but in our cases actually 85 to 90% of the time when we were not agreeing to the same choices, actually we went back, took time, and again curated something which all of us, me, Shreya, my wife, my family, everyone would agree to it, and then we actually went ahead with the ideas.
Absolutely. I think we bettered the ideation if we were disagreeing. So I do.
And that was like one good thing. It was not like forcing. If you're not liking, no, let's go ahead and let's do it. We were just like keeping that part aside, and then when we used to go for shopping and then we used to collecting, then we're like, okay, we can use this at this place.
Absolutely. And I think coming to shopping, I don't think we went with an idea that this is exactly what we want. We always went with a concept in our mind, ki this is how we want the photo frame to be, or this is how we want our curtains to look, without the actual idea of what the fabric is going to be, without the actual idea what's the color palette going to be. and we developed each and every corner with time, understanding what are we emotionally resonating most with. I
Right.
mean, I think this was a very
Yeah.
emotional and intellectual journey together
Right.
than just it being, the textbook design
Yes.
process. One more thing I would add to this project is, as a family, what I've seen in the entire house, y'all are so rooted, and there's so many elements that we've picked up that is so traditional
Right.
to our Indian craft, right? And we've had our own, we've adapted it to our own styles and used it, and I think I'm very proud of it. So what we can do today, Tushar, is actually probably let the viewers have a look of what we've done throughout the house in nooks and corners,
Right.
and why is that corner so special to us. So Tushar, why don't we start about the sofa in the corner where we seated, because we've spent a lot of time thinking about detailing this corner too.
Right.
So for the viewers, the sofa where we seated, it has been detailed to the T. Now for the size of the living room that we are in, we needed far more seating arrangement than it could traditionally accommodate. Having a low-heighted divan kind of a sofa helped us increase the seating it could accommodate in the space. But that wasn't really the reason why we did it. The sofa adorns a beautiful stamp print around it, which is very, very traditional and dear to us. And for that, Tushar, why don't you tell us what's the story behind this?
Okay. So actually, it is inspired from the carvings that I've seen when I was in baby moon with my wife in Udaipur. So we stayed in Chunda Palace, and if you go back and see, they have all the carvings over the ceiling, then the walls, everywhere, and every corner of the Chunda Palace. If you go and visit the place, you will see the bright colors and carvings. Then I introduced that to Shreya. Shreya said, okay, we can actually take that concept, but we can't use the vibrant colors. So then the stamps, I think, Shreya, you said let's not keep it very traditional. Let's give it little bit of modern look and maybe some geometrical figures to it. Then we ended up selecting this particular stamp. We actually got a rubber stamp made, and one fine day, I think after 2 months of entire projects, then we started, okay, then Shreya was behind me, Tushar, at least please do that stamping now. So one fine day I started it. So there was a rubber stamp, I picked up a color. So as Shreya mentioned that we can't use vibrant color, so what idea clicked in my mind was I belong to Vengurla. So in our native place we have this rangoli which is made of rice water.
Yes.
So the idea that clicked in my mind, let's pick up this white color from there and use the similar stamping. So if you look at it very closely, it actually pops out on the veneer that we use, and it's a sequence or maybe a loop of the same stamp which is across the sofa.
Right.
And whoever comes, they are just loving it. They are like, from whom did you make it?
Right, exactly. And that's why we call it the handcrafted dreams,
Yes.
right? Because like we said, going to the memory of your baby moon and then connecting it back to your village memory, I think you've spent a decent amount of childhood, and you also even today go to your village every year to make sure you're connected to your roots. So the rice water paint that we talk about has such cooling effect and calming effect at the same time.
Specifically, when my uncle and aunt, they visited post Diwali, and the stamps were there, they were sitting and they were just touching it, and they were like, okay, this is what? I mean, have you really used rice water or something or what? Well, no, it is like we have used the fabric colors, but then we coated with a varnish. So that's how we are actually sustaining it, and I'm so happy that it is making them also happy. It is like connected with everyone.
Yay! So this wasn't just the thing that we did for this wall, right? I remember us discussing why does this need to be a neutral palette, and one of the reasons why we kept it is Amruta is a makeup artist, and the house is again designed such that every corner of the house can actually be a feature wall for her to do various shoots with various themes. And that's how we came up with the carving wall. And if a bride has to adorn a different color or for her makeup to stand out, the palette had to be neutral. and for us to, also be able to understand the requirement as client and as
Right.
designer, that helped us actually bring these vibrant cushion covers into the space that immediately pops the room up when we want it to, and we can obviously settle it down
Yes,
when we
yes.
need to.
Because on regular days, normally we use this solid color cushion, so
Right.
which helps us, keeping it very subtle. We don't have to, change it 100 times.
Correct. And finally, about this wall, Tushar, I remember showing you some images of my previous works
Wow.
that I have done. And I remember how mesmerized you and Amruta both were that, you know what, we want a peacock in our
Yes,
living
yes.
room.
Because you never introduced a peacock in your design. So, like specifically, I told her I want peacock, and yeah, it is here.
Right. So, coming back to the wall, I remember, this is the wall which is probably the only silver metallic wall in the entire house, because we wanted one color palette which is slightly more cooler in the
Right.
space that can resonate with, or rather match to the makeup or, the artwork that Amruta would do in the cooler palette.
Right.
And technically what we did work on was silver metal can really be reflective. So we took that very conscious decision of actually making it as matte as possible,
Right.
so that when you're actually using studio lights, the wall does not dominate the piece that's in front of it.
Yeah, and guests, when they are sitting here, they are just asking me 100 times, like, really, is it customized? Or I mean, they are thinking that it is something that, I've ordered somewhere, and we are just taking these panels everywhere. So I'll tell you, Shreya, this Diwali, all my friends told me one thing, Tushar, we are coming to your house for Diwali, self-invited. Well, why? No, we want to come to your house. Well, why? No, we want to click our photos in front of that carving, because they are like, we want to feel festive, because like, even though we wear normal, like whatever clothes that we are in, but I think your wall will make our Diwali very special. And I'll share some photos with you as well. They were really happy to see the outcome, and they were like, okay, I mean, this wall is meant for everything. And I'll also tell you, the way Shreya is also having podcast, I also have my own podcast, and Shreya gave me that idea. When we have something creative, or some guests who are very much artistic or something, we can definitely use this space for podcast as well. So now it is a multi-purpose space for everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You remember how we actually put this wall together when the house was empty and all these panels came?
Right.
And it was such a jigsaw puzzle to make sure where do we want the elephant to be and where the peacock needs to be, and to actually make every corner come together and build this wall. There are times when people feel these are machine cut
Right.
products, or everybody could do it. Of course, everybody can do it. There is no denying that. But I remember the amount of pain that everybody who's working on the project took to actually build this, become such a special wall, because from an ideation or a concept to actually execute it,
Right.
you also need the right team and right set of people working with you. So I think we've worked with the best people in terms of also putting this together, don't you
Yes,
think so?
of course. I mean, it is their hard work. I think we built it 90%, and then we were like struggling, and we went back, and next day we came back and we saw. So they have arranged it for us.
Absolutely.
So definitely they have put in a lot of ideas and thoughts behind this, and because of them it is successful.
Amazing, right? Now, Tushar, let's talk about the beautiful dining space that we've created for
Yes.
our living room, right? And of course, given that the dining area is a part of the living room, and like we said, we needed enough seating. One of the details we came up was that the dining chair is adaptive to the sofa space, and when you flip it over, it becomes a part of the dining table. And to tie it both up, we used pure wooden logs for the center table and the dining table, with similar three-leg detail on both the spaces. Now, what really made the dining table stand out was a beautiful artwork that adorns behind it as a background to the dining table, and the lovely chandelier that's right above the dining table. Why don't we talk about first the chandelier and what's so beautiful about this?
First of all, we definitely wanted chandeliers, but we were not sure about what kind of chandelier it would be,
Right.
because there were so many elements which are like traditional plus modern, and we wanted something which is trendy also, yet looks vintage. So even if we use it for shoots and everything, it is still not reflecting like crystals or something.
Right.
So then I think we chose mother of pearl effect, and
Right. So that's exactly why we chose the mother of pearl effect. But you know what? For me, the beauty of the chandelier is that little sound it makes when your window is open.
It is meditative.
It's so meditative. It's like wind chimes right there. You don't need music in the house. You have an ambient music going throughout, and I think that's
in the morning when you have breakfast, it is bliss. I mean, the 10 minutes that you have in the morning, it is really good.
I'm glad. So that, and again, this chandelier was made to side and customized by a very dear friend of ours.
Pintu
Pintu Chaurasia is what he called. And I'm so glad with the output that came up with the chandelier. Now let's talk about the artwork, which was work in progress for the longest time. And it's absolutely different than what we actually envisioned it to be for the first time.
We had like almost 10 different choices of, okay, let's do this, but nothing was finalized, and we just kept it as it is. And then my sister, she's also a good artist. She sort of, I gave her inspiration of flowers. So she started painting, and then I don't know, like I came back home and I was like, no, I'm not liking it. So I just told her to use the same metallic and scrap it and just give a thin layer of it. So after that, when I saw the artwork, the canvas, I would say, it was like giving some embossed effect of the earlier painting where like small flower detail was there. So I told her, let's do one thing. What do you have in flowers? Why I asked, because she has a lot of options in, like she has quilling flowers, then dried flowers, then she used something for epoxy. Then I picked up dried flowers, and then I picked up all the colors available in the living room: orange, pink, blue, green, yellow, all the colors. And then I just put it on the canvas, and I just gave her a thought: why don't we just stick them in abstract way?
I think that was the time you actually clicked a picture and sent it to me. So what do you think? And I'm like, which direction are we headed with this now?
Yes. And when we actually look at it from far, it looks really like a garden. Flower of Valley. I think that is also inspiration from Khas Patar, because my wife is from Satara, and if you see, there is a Valley of Flowers.
Right.
So
yes.
It actually resonates that too.
Amazing. So it's beautiful that we could craft out something, and this definitely was a surprise for me, because I knew, we are to do a floral artwork there, and to actually see what we came up with, and this is a unique piece because this is something that was so much more intuitive in terms of the artwork that we did. We don't
and trust me, it is not even available on Pinterest.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that we just came up with. And I remember when I showed these pictures to a couple of my, friends and family, they were intrigued to know how was this made. And of course, the whole credit goes to you and Tejal for creating this beautiful masterpiece for the dining table. And I think it just makes the dining table picture perfect. So, again, beautiful story to know that we connect back to, value of flowers and all of that. So, amazing work done, Tushar, at that too. But did that stop or limit our dining table?
No. I mean, definitely not. I think my guests are just in love with it. They are not eating, but they are like behind the plates and like the crockeries that we are using there.
So the story goes for our dining table is, I know Tushar and Amruta are out there shopping for the house. This is just, I think, a couple of weeks before Diwali.
Right.
And Tushar is actually out to get some crockery for the house. But he sees this cushion cover, and it's for the cushion covers when I come to pure home. And that's when, the entire cutlery set catches our attention, and we're like, oh, why don't we use this also as an artwork onto the dining table, because there is so much of fluidity and nature, and I think these, there was so much of thought put in terms of the texture, in terms of the way we have picked up the color for the cutlery. Usually we will see one uniform color going in. So we introduced, we broke the green cutlery using a gold plate in between. We've also used a neutral napkin to balance the whole space. And then to complement the artwork, we've taken this beautiful centerpiece, which is, it's short and stout, but it has a character of itself. And I think this entire setup that we then came up on the dining table, for me, is nothing less than an artwork by itself, right?
And luckily, we also got a bowl which is like shaped, in a flower shape.
Exactly. I think that was the inspiration from myself. Let's use that, became our center point, and then we took pieces around it. So yes, that's how we set up our dining table, and I've seen the reaction of I wouldn't even say your families and friends, I would say just the home people. I remember Heyansh saying that we want to keep the dining table as is, we don't want to move this.
Because he was happy because he got his restaurant at his house. So he's like, okay, we can party here now.
Alright, so that wraps with our beautiful journey on the dining table. But we have a lot more elements to cover in the living room. Tushar, anything left about the living room?
Okay, Shreya, one more thing I think I want to highlight is about where we are sitting. It was a kitchen. Since it is a Jodi flat, this was a kitchen. We demolished it, and when we entered to this house, the one thing which was consistently bothering was the 12-inch this beam there, and I was like so disappointed. I was like, what to do with this? Then I think, Shreya, you can tell the rest.
Yeah, I think this was a big challenge because it divided the room in a very uneven manner, and we had to figure out a way where the room still looks big and it looks like one unit. Because of the beam, we felt like these were 4 different pockets, and therefore we came up with this rafter solution, which we didn't break the color. We kept the color same to the beam so that it doesn't look very heavy in space. But we added character of the stamps that we did even onto the sofa. We took the same inspiration. We kind of changed the language to be a little more softer onto the ceiling, and we did the stamping so that ultimately the space from one end to the other ties together because of the ceiling, and it creates depth into the room, which is what was needed. And I think it's beautiful the way, again, you've taken the efforts to stamp it yourself, and it's lovely to see the amount of love that's been poured into this,
Yeah, and while doing also, I was really happy because it was something I really like about the stamps, and when I lie down sometimes and when I look at it, it gives me a lot of relaxation because the continuation of that stamps is like everywhere, and it is not even pinching your eyes, and in the evening it is really a good type of meditation, at least for me in this house. So thanks for that.
I'm glad it puts you in a state of trance, I hope, after a long day. Amazing. All right, so the viewers may think kitna kiya hai, but let me tell you, this is not even half, or rather just half of the living room, because right now we're going to talk about this beautiful TV unit that we have made for this space. Tushar, can you actually tell us what was your requirement here?
First of all, we have a kid, Heyansh, so he's 5 years now, and we strictly don't give him any screen time, hardly 15 minutes a week or something. So my special request to Shreya was not to have TV unit. Even I personally do not like, even Amruta doesn't like. When we are at home, if you see, we don't have even a clock. We don't want to, look at the time. We don't want to look at any other engagement which distracts you from the family time. So yeah, that was my requirement.
I think, addressing the brief, what we did is you had these beautiful paintings from
Yes.
Udaipur that you had again sourced. And, the thought was that why should a TV unit be exposed at any given point? So what we've done is we've created a wall which is again adorned by a beautiful artwork. I remember going to one of the markets to pick up the fabric that's
Yes.
around the around this painting. And
And if you remember, we actually selected a lot of textured fabric before, because that was the thought process. Okay, let's introduce something vibrant.
but we selected a crushed tissue fabric which gave us the texture but let the artwork stand out the way it should have been, and it gives us a nice subtle pop of color against that light wood that we have behind on the TV wall. And what really is the role of these painting is they are actually in a way the handle for these doors. So you push open the painting is when the doors slide open, and that's when you actually see the TV. I think that potentially is about an hour a week, but most of the time the doors are shut. You see the paintings as is, and this beautiful arch that we've created next to it again has all kind of collection that you have from
Kashmir,
Spiti.
Yeah,
I think you've also got stuff from your Andaman trip, or
Andaman trip. Then this is something from Andaman, and we have some collectibles or gifts which were given by our family and friends.
Right. So I remember every time I come here, every art piece that is there in this room is purely memory,
Yes,
right?
and first of all, the guests or the people who have given it, they are happy to see that we have preserved it.
So I am so glad we could, find a way to do that. And yes, that's how we made this beautiful TV unit that also has a huge wardrobe right towards the end
Right.
to accommodate, a full-fledged wardrobe solution for our family members.
And I think thanks for the handles that we selected. Those are also a part of carving, and it also gives you the essence of the connection that we have throughout the space.
So, yes, I think that kind of wraps our
Living
room. Now, Tushar, let's talk about one of our favorite spaces in the house,
Right.
which is the actual entrance.
Yeah.
And
The
what
blue
a
entrance.
the blue entrance. The house is known as the blue house in the entire society, if I'm
Right.
not mistaken.
Even the Zomato guys, they are remembering because we do not have the number yet. So yeah, blue house.
The blue house, the blue entrance. And what a fun journey it was to actually curate the entrance the way we did. So let's run our viewers on what went behind actually designing this entrance. Let's start with our main door.
Yes. So first of all, before the main door, first let's go back to the handle that we picked up.
Oh yes.
Actually, the main door's design is meant to match with the handle that we picked up.
Right.
So during the house was built, I went to Panchgani for some work, and there I visited this beautiful place called Devrai Art Village, and they are specialized in the art called the rock dokra, and I really like the handle there. Then I called Shreya, this handle is beautiful, and it also has a lot of elements of embossed effect of flowers, and specifically it has an owl, and which signifies the welcoming to the
Good
goddess
omen,
Lakshmi.
yes.
Yeah. And okay, then she was like, yeah, pick it up and then we can think of something. And I think rest is your idea, I guess, Shreya.
So the moment I saw the handle in my hand, I remember that this has to take the center place. It couldn't be in any of the bedrooms or the wardrobe, and I think we unanimously agreed that this had to be a part of our main door. And by then we had already also decided that this wall is going to be a carved wall. That's when we came up with the idea that let's do a homogeneous carved main door. So the entire main door is made by series of moldings of different sizes. Again, we handpicked these moldings to match the geometry within the room, and try to balance it in the space. So after we saw and we did the molding, with our brainstorming, we wanted to go in the deep blue color family because the brass color would have popped up with any kind of a darker background. And that's when we spoke to our Vastu consultant Rajesh, where I wasn't very sure if he would allow us to use a blue color at the main door. And I think you had a conversation with him where I think he was ecstatic that please, let's just go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, good. I mean, you yourself selected this color, and this is, according to us, the best color or suitable color for you. So, yeah, that was something, a blessing for us. And everyone is in love with the entrance.
With the door. So, that kind of filled the door, and we had to kind of, when the door was ready, we saw it's a huge carved blue wall, and we broke it with this lovely China doll. This beautiful China doll tree that adorns, which breaks it so beautifully. It adds that vibrancy and life that the door needed because it became a little overpowering at some point. And then to move into it. And so there is the story of our main entrance door, right? But the entrance door is literally the start of the experience that is built, while we enter the house. There's so much more that transpired into that entrance foyer of our house. Tushar, why don't we talk about that beautiful ceiling we made?
Yes, so it was nothing planned, and when we were selecting the moldings, I think there were these two shutters which were kept at the corner, and then I just told Shreya, can we just take these? Like, we were not having any idea where we will be using. Then when we got it, we thought maybe use it as a partition or something, but then Shreya told me, I have a wild idea, and yeah, here's the ceiling now.
Yeah, that was so random. We thought of it just made as if it was the shutter was meant to be in the ceiling because the way it was sized, it perfectly fits into that little square at the entrance. And as soon as you enter, the blue color that we painted the ceiling into, it kind of deepens the experience of the door into the house, following straight into that beautiful carpet that's
which is also a reflection of blue.
Exactly. So I think that entire story that kind of built through the way, such a chance encounter, and that's how I believe that this house was meant to be the way it is, because we kept stumbling onto pieces and ideas that actually brings this house together so seamlessly.
So after 2 days of the housewarming party, I guess, Shreya, I called you and told you, like, I am feeling very emotional, and I don't think so there is any corner of this house could have been something different. And you replied to me saying, I think then, Tushar, we have achieved what we we thought of and we never thought of.
Right.
So yeah, and it was true inspiration when someone opens the door, even the delivery guy, I would say, if you open the door and when you see the continuation of the blue door and then that ceiling and the carpet, it gives you a lot of welcoming vibes, and the lamp that is adjacent to the carpet. So you want to talk about the lamps too?
Yeah, I think, so the story of the carpet goes that Tushar and Amruta were in Kashmir, and they were in one of these beautiful rugs, that hand weave carpets.
Yes.
And I remember you coming to me and telling me that, Shreya, I want to use these carpets, and we weren't very sure of how to use this carpet. Like, these carpets were previously used for your shoots and stuff like that, but became more of, in the background, never getting its due, I would say. And I feared that, I didn't want that to be the fate for these carpet in this house too, because they're so beautiful, so intricate. And that's how we introduced the carpet as a frame, because for me, it was an absolute piece of art. And that's when I said that, we have a blue door. We are most likely going to have a blue ceiling. Why not extend that feeling of that blue color and that connectivity onto the wall bang opposite the door? And that's how we framed the carpet. And I think that becomes such a hook point for anybody who enters. So you're at the main door, you're already wowed. And then you open the door and there is another, like, oh wow.
Yes. There is no wall actually, like, people feel that, okay, this is something going into something.
Exactly. So I think that conversation is so inviting. I and of course to support that, we got the lampshade of the from Fab India. We needed the entrance U-turns into the living room, and we needed something that ties the living room experience into the lampshade experience. So I remember the living room, we did know that we're going to have this greenish curtain,
Right.
and far off in the other corner we bought this lampshade. And to finally tie up, we actually had the carpet of the living room, which also held the same sage green color,
Right.
which ties so beautifully into the room. I think it's just so flowy
Yes.
that I feel you are in a way just inviting people to come into your life and say, okay,
Just
come.
explore and
Yes.
explore.
And experience. So yes, that's our beautiful entrance. But apart from all of this, Tushar, which is my most favorite element in your entrance?
Yes, of course, the two artworks that we have kept, and those are not just artworks, there is a memory attached to it. So I think those are like a fabric of my kurta. So, for the first Diwali after Heyansh was born, we got this similar fabric and stitched together, and somehow it got stained. So then I told Shreya, no, I want to use this particular piece somewhere, so you figure it out.
Yes, and that's how the actual artwork that you see is a part of his kurta. The bluish grey patch is actually the chikankari kurta he had.
Yes.
And we cut it into two halves, and we handpicked these laces from a local lace shop,
Yes.
and we put it all together to actually make this beautiful two artworks. Now for somebody to enter, this may just be piece of art, but for us this has so much more emotional value that you have retained your first memory of Diwali with Heyansh so beautifully.
Yes.
And it does make me very emotional and proud that I could do that for you, and it's it looks beautiful into the space. So yes, that's our little favorite corner of the entrance.
Yes.
Now why don't we take our viewers to your beautiful bedroom?
Sure, let's go.
All right, so Tushar, I remember when you first spoke about your bedroom, you did tell me that you wanted to have a very Rajwada kind of a feel. Then
Yet
you
Adi
wanted
tone to it.
yet earthy. Then you wanted these 4-poster beds. Then you wanted these charokas in the room, and I had to keep redirecting you that the size of the room may not allow us
Right.
to do it, and for whatever it is, we stay in a city which is very high on pollution, so the maintenance would also get difficult.
Mhm.
And that's when we kind of were still brainstorming on what are these things that's very dear to you, and what does earthy mean to you, what does having a opulent bedroom mean to you. And that's how we picked up few elements,
Yes.
like the rattan that we've used, the flowy fabric of the curtain behind the bed that we've used. Why don't you introduce our viewers to your thought on that?
So my brief to Shreya was, I want a space which is very grounded, very earthy, yet it should also have some artistic or a touch where it will still look big in the sense of the Rajwada feeling and the posters that we have. And then that we were talking about the rug. So we had two rugs. One we used at the entrance, but the second rug we were actually planning to frame it on the wall, right? But then the size and proportion was not aligned. So then Shreya came up with the thought. So Shreya, you tell them.
So yeah, the carpet was actually supposed to be a part of the bedroom. We did determine that, and first we thought that it can go opposite the bed wall. Then we thought it can take a corner, and the moment we started to keep it on different walls, we realized that it doesn't get its due importance the way it does, and that's just how an idea clicked that this fits perfectly well to the size of the actual bed we have.
Yeah.
And that's how we made the carpet into the headboard for this bed. So that beautiful deep red, orange and beige color carpet that we have actually makes the background headboard, gives it so much more opulence that honestly, even without, the pillows in front of it, the room looks so rich. And I think what you were really looking for was that aspirational, rich and opulent life that you've wanting to be building it since so long, and you wanted to have that. I have finally done it. I think that carpet helps us achieve that.
Yes,
Here we
did
are.
it.
Yes,
And the posters, and then then we came up with the thought, okay,
Yes.
if we can't have these curtains around the around the bed, then maybe we use it.
So, like we said, we've had a very collaborative approach. One person we should not miss out in the bedroom is Amruta,
Yes.
and her insistence on having a curtain behind the bed. I think we tried all our ways to
Yeah, she
convince
wanted,
her not to have one.
Yeah.
But I am so glad that she put her foot down, that she wants that flowy curtain. And I think the beauty of that is, the bedroom is actually east facing. So every morning when the sun rises, now the bedroom curtains are actually netted. In the entire house, we haven't used any blackout curtain. The blackout only happens through roller blinds.
Right.
So what it really does is, in the morning when the sun comes up, there are these beautiful pattern of shades and shadow that is created onto the bed and into the floor that becomes such a mesmerizing experience by itself.
Yes, and it is also a feeling of Jharoka that sunlight is passing through.
Exactly, right? So that entire, had we not thought about, doing the bed behind, maybe even the netted curtain would not have been a part of our main curtain. So I think it all just came together with that flowy curtain coming in. And despite such heavy elements, the room is still so airy, and it's actually very minimalistic, right? So even the poster details that we've used, we've been careful that we keep it simple line so that you get what you want, but not overpowering the space. And I think what the rattan wall does for us is actually bring that earthy element that's been that's probably what's needed to root you back to where you belong in terms of emotionally. It brings you that sense of reality check that let's not, let's dream big, but let's also stay grounded, because this is where we've risen from. So I think that beautiful blend of earthiness and opulence makes your room so much more relevant to your story. And I don't think we could have come up with a better solution than what we've done.
There is no corner in the bedroom also that you can actually replace something and make it better. So yeah, thanks for that.
I'm so happy. I think we did a fab job with the bedroom. And I must add this, that every time I come to Tushar's house and every time that I see his bedroom, I keep reimagining how my house is going to be and how my bedroom is going to be. So thank you for inspiring me to, take my life forward too.
Yeah, I'm glad. Of course, I would love to see your house, and I'm sure it'll be much larger than what you think. So yeah.
Amen to that. All right, now Tushar, let's move on to the second bedroom of this house, which I think is one of the most playful bedrooms that I have.
Very vibrant, very cozy also. And in terms of the color palette that we chose, I think Shreya, you can explain them better.
I think first and foremost for me, we're talking about Heyansh's bedroom. Now Heyansh is all of 5-year-old. He has a set of toys which are all cars. He has a car collection which runs over 100. Now we had a huge task of actually storing this. Now instead of going with a quintessential storage solution, what we did come up with was a wallpaper which is about a cityscape, wherein we have placed these cars as actual traffic or movement into the space, which allows Heyansh to actually play on the wall vertically with the cars instead of the cars being scattered onto the floor. or him taking the effort of constantly putting it in a basket. So it lets him build his creativity. One of the restrictions that we had was no blue in Heyansh's
according
room.
to Vastu, there was no blue color allowed in his
Correct.
room.
So that's how we took a day scene into...
So we converted in the nightscape to the dayscape.
To the dayscape. We took up, we've taken the colors of yellow, green and orange. It can resonate with sunrise to sunset. The green is more of, the landscape that the city should have, if I must.
Yes, yes.
And that's how we first, the focus came on to the interaction wall. And building from that is where, we took on to the wardrobes, we came to the study table, taking the same color palette. And I think what really ties all of them together is Heyansh's bed. Because he was so particular about the color and the kind of bed he wants. He wanted a car, and I think initially he wanted a blue, and then he switched himself to...
No, so the thing is, like, blue was not allowed. So he already had a toy car which is already in blue color. So I told him, like, why don't we use other color, which is like second favorite color of his is red color. So we chose red color, and I told him, like, now you have two cars. So you can play with blue and sleep in the red car.
And I think, I remember seeing Heyansh's expression when he saw the wall. Why don't you actually, tell us how it felt to build this room for Heyansh?
Yeah. So, first of all, at his age, to understand his requirement plus accommodation of all his demands. Like, if I want to tell him, you have 100 cars, remove 10. So we used to filter out, and we can keep it. We can keep it in the cupboard. We can keep it in the drawers. So he was not ready to throw anything. So, but as soon as we gave him that idea of, like, we utilizing his cars as on the wallpapers, and then he can play around. So he was really happy. And anyone comes to our house, Heyansh's first reaction is, come to my bedroom, please look at all my toys. And yeah, so he's really glad about it, and for him it is his museum to show everyone.
I am so glad, and it's such a wonderful journey to be actually doing this house with Heyansh, because at the age that he is, he's so expressive. And I remember coming to the house so many times, and he'll come and show off everything that he has. Shreya auntie, look at this. Shreya auntie, look at that. And seeing him explore his space the way we envisioned him to have gives me a lot of satisfaction as a designer. So Tushar, let's talk about one of the most, I must say, difficult rooms of the house, which is Amruta's studio.
Right.
And I remember the first day when we sat together that, we have to build this, your residence. The first thing you introduced me to was, I want a makeup studio in my house. And I was a little taken aback because, you have people coming in and out. And of course, I know that, Amruta is a makeup artist. And from there, for you to come and tell me that let's make a room, which is right at the entrance.
That was my specific requirement to you, because I didn't want anyone to navigate throughout the house, because as by profession she's a makeup artist, she also requires privacy, her clients too. Plus, they should not feel uncomfortable by passing on the other areas of the house. So yeah, that was my requirement.
Absolutely. And just addressing that, we needed to have the makeup room to have its own identity. And Amruta Mestry makeup brand has its own set of branding guidelines.
Yeah, so I gave her a brand identity, and I told her I want specific these colors to reflect, so that whenever she's shooting for her page and everything, so it will tie up together, and it will reflect as it is her own space, and still reflects her brand identity, and not just a room with a mirror or
absolutely
lights.
So I think when I say it was one of the most challenging rooms is because it's probably the tiniest room we have in this house.
Created room.
Tiniest created room, you're right. Where we needed to have full 2 wardrobes to accommodate all her needs from costumes to jewelry to her makeup, to her vanities being stored, and then yet ample space for us to help her, do the makeup, shoot it well, and create a background which was synonymous to her brand, right? And that's how we built this beautiful room. And I remember, I must give this credit again to Tushar for believing that we can create something unique, and that's how we brought these stencil cutouts,
Right.
which was again done by us in person, where we've used white cement to create this texture using the stencil.
Yes.
So there is this huge mandala, which becomes the center of the display wall in the makeup room, hand done with white cement. Then there are these smaller mandalas that are used more in an abstract form around it. But was that really the beauty? No. I think when we started to brainstorm, the one thing that we both came up together, I must say, is why don't we paint this wall using the makeup?
Yes.
So the entire wall is highlighted using the makeup blush and eyeshadow palette. And the way that entire texture and blending that has happened makes the identity so much more stronger. And I know so many of your friends who've gone home and who've also spoken to me, they come back and say, was that really, a makeup palette that was used? Because they can see the shimmer, they can see the texture. And I think that was such a authentic way to say that this is a makeup studio without it being loud in the face. And of course, the images that are coming out of that room, it's splendid.
And one thing, like when we brainstormed actually, and we put it across in front of Amruta, she was little, hesitant because we introduced makeup products. But guys, those are expired makeup products, and of course, like it's good to creatively use it. It's not something just throw away. But then when we convinced her, and when now she's looking at the wall, which is a backdrop, as Shreya mentioned, like we wanted to make this room bigger, so she created an entire wall of mirror, so it is actually reflecting and giving the depth to the space. And when someone is sitting for makeup, so they can also see the reflection of the mandala in the mirror. So yeah, that's the beauty of that room. And one more thing to add, so the palette that we have introduced is actually really good technically. If I want to talk about the technical aspect of the color palette, even though it is a brand palette, but still it is giving a neutral look for all the skin types. So as a makeup artist, it is really helping her to just keep the camera on and shoot it right there.
I'm glad, and I think that little addition of the tall chandelier that adorns that real corner.
Thanks to Pintu.
Again, thanks to Pintu. It adds that much more opulence, because I've been seeing Amruta's work over the last few months. Of course, she's also grown as an artist, but her work is so royal. It is so it's so inviting that something like that, to have this space, also talks about the vision she holds for her work and the value. I think these are these elements in spaces that talks about how you perceive yourself as well as the work you do. So I think the whole room by itself has its privacy, like we spoke, has its identity, and I must add that the palette seamlessly blends into the living room also. So there are times when the door is open even for the studio, and it still becomes such a seamless part of this whole space. And I think I must give it to you and Amruta for agreeing and experimenting on those lines, because it's not very often that people are open to creative experimentation, because you've never seen it before, and these were things that we've been trying for the first time, and I'm so glad we did that.
Yeah, and one more thing to add on to it. So what happens if we want to talk about emotional part of the room? So she specializes into bridal makeup, right? So specifically clients who are coming like majorly for makeup trials in studio, right? So whoever comes, of course, for those brides, it is a special occasion like they are preparing for, and they don't come alone. They will always have their best friend, their partner, their family with them. Earlier when we discussed, we thought like okay, we can only have the makeup chair that is there,
Correct.
right? We can't have more things. But because of the wall full of mirrors, it is giving the depth plus the area to sit, so it is not looking claustrophobic. And trust me, like whoever is coming sitting there like next to the chandelier, they are exploring. Actually, they are not getting bored. Plus the way we have made it, it is looking royal. So whenever they are doing trials, they are already getting a backdrop of something which is, at the time of reception or at the time of their wedding, that could reflect. Plus the neutral color will definitely help them having any color on their skin,
Correct.
and they can try out. So it helps her a lot in that sense.
So I'm glad. I think, some things like one may not have thought over how this really helps emotionally for the brides to connect. But I'm glad, like there's so many layers to design that
Right.
come in, and this is just one testimony on how being inclusive in your design can really help you in the longer
Yes, because
run.
the spaces is all about connecting with people, right? If we are building a house, we are building a space which is studio or any commercial space. Uh, no dead. I mean, there will be always a person. There will always be an energy with the person that will come, and it is our duty to fill that positivity in that person, so that that person goes back with a very big smile and positivity.
I'm glad we are able to
Yeah.
achieve that.
And one more testimonial for you, Shreya, upfrontly. We thought of having this space accessible only for guests to just go into the room. But as soon as they see the carpet, they just look at the right, and then they go and they talk to Amruta. They're like, "Can we explore your house?"
I
They
am
go
so glad to hear
and it's a
that.
tour that every time we have someone at our house, like they're really glad. So I'll tell you one thing, Shreya, a real testimonial. I was feeling so good about it because one of the days, one person came to our house. He was standing there in the passage, and he was just looking around, and we're like, Tushar, who built this? Who designed this house? Like, what happened? I don't know whose idea it was. No, it was collaborative idea. So the designer who got involved in this process is someone is not only doing interior. Like she has a really good taste of Indian art, then modern art, and she has actually amalgamated everything and curated for you. So of course, like vision is something different. Even if me being artistic is different thing, but using that art into the space is something that you have done for
I'm
us.
so glad to hear that. Thank you, Tushar. I'm actually short of words to how even take that, but I'm happy I could. And Tushar, finally, let's talk about something that we did completely out of the box for the project, is a selection of fabric
Yes.
in the entire house.
That is I mean, I really wanted something which is very organic and very which will give you a feel good factor, warm and cozy. So I told Shay, I don't want the traditional or contemporary designs or something. I want to build something. Then I think one fine day I showed her these fabrics.
Exactly. And we realized very soon into the project that of course, we don't have much options when it comes to sofa, because they need to be of certain material and density and strength and all of that. But we were using so much of, like we used your kurta for the frame, we've used fabric for the TV wall. We thought of doing something different for the curtains, and we realized very soon that the typical curtain palette will not work for the project. And since the entire house had this very DIY kind of feel and very organic and rooted, I remember us having this conversation of, hey, why don't we take the regular fabric that we get, which is actually meant for kurta or a female's clothing or something like that. And then we went ahead to actually dye it to our color palette for each room.
Right.
Choosing from the embroidery, the kind of lace we need to put in it, the kind of ties we need, everything was coordinated to the relevance in that space. And of course, then bringing it into the house. I remember on the opening day where people were like, is this curtain? How did you build this?
Yeah, then where did you got this from? Like, they were not believing that these are dyed and made, handmade kind of thing. And yeah, thanks to you.
Yeah, I think thanks to us, because you could source something in our kind of liking, and we needed it in large quantity.
Yeah.
And yes, I think that's the beauty of just surrendering to the process and just wanting to experiment with everything possible. And I think what these curtains in turn does is gets this very breezy feel into the house, which I don't think any other solution would have let us do.
Yes, and I think they are all in synchronization. Only the color and the prints or maybe the embroidery is different. But when you walk through each room, you will feel the same coziness or the same warmth throughout the space. And yeah, that is really commendable for I think both of us, because a lot of people are just asking like, how did you make this?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Shreya, one more thing I really wanted to share with you. Recently, I was with my friends. We were having a dinner at a restaurant, and she invited her friend, and that friend had come. We were having chat, and suddenly she's like, "You know what? We have seen Tushar since like 10 to 12 years. Right now, the kind of house that he's made, you should visit." And I tell each my friend to go and visit his house, because that is a kind of house where you will see every single corner which is like beautifully curated and which is welcoming. And the most beautiful part about it is we never feel that is Tushar's house, that whenever we feel it is our house, so we don't need any invitation. We go there, we feel inclusive, and that is the way you were talking about, like feeling inclusiveness, because it is very much important for a third person also to connect with your space. And the testimonial was from the third person to me, was saying, Tushar, you know what, I already imagined what kind of house you have. So I'm feeling it the way she's explaining me. I mean that is something I am also now short of words, but that is how it is. Like, people are so happy about being a part of this space.
Thank you so much, Tushar. I am short of words, and I feel very happy that I could contribute, and people resonate with your space so much emotionally, mentally, intellectually, and whatever expertise I have honed through the years, you've tried to get the best out of me, and that's how we've created this space. And like we say, every house has, for me, this house is a beautiful blend of relevant modern design with such rooted Indian cultural context to the space, from our artworks to, the details. And hence, like I started off with saying, that this house will always be a paradise of handcrafted dreams for me. And thank you for choosing me as your designer and letting me, flow freely through the creativity process.
Yeah. And thanks to you too, and for all of you to, let me just put across in a way, like, okay, Shreya is a dear friend to me since we evolved our relationship in the process of making this house. But as a person, if you are looking for more than a designer, a person who can actually relate to your thought process, your vision, and still tries her best to fulfill what you need. So one speciality that she has is like, no matter how challenging the work is, she will take her time and come up with the optimum solutions for you with aesthetic sense, creativity, yet she will make sure the things are functional too. It's not just a piece for show, but she will make sure that it is usable in your day-to-day activities. And one more thing for you also, if you plan to design your house with your designer, so it is not only designer's part, it is you also, because end of the day you are going to live there. So the more you help your designer to fulfill your requirements, it will actually help you with the more vibrant, more aesthetic, more relatable space for you. And yeah, so like Shreya always talks about her clients too, the in a good way, that how they are helpful. But I really want to thank you, Shreya, for making so many spaces in India, specifically because I love Indian art, and the way you have built this house, it is really commendable. The kind of exposure that you have, the international exposure, plus then you blending that to the thought process of us, is truly mesmerizing, and I am really thankful and I'm blessed that you became a part of my journey. And I don't think so, like it's not about designer. I could have any designer, but the kind of space that we have made, like the feeling of uh, the feeling of togetherness in this space is something because of you, I guess. You have heard a lot, heard us a lot, and made optimum uh, possible ways to fulfill our requirements. And thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just thank you. So, thank you, Tushar, for coming in today, for giving your precious time. It was a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And of course, we could probably go on for another couple of hours on just how much we love the space we've created. But thank you for trusting us. And like I said, this will always remain our paradise of handcrafted dreams. And for that, thank you once again, Tushar.
So welcome. And guys, please support Shreya. Please share this video with a lot of friends and families. Thank you.
Thank you.